There's a lot of things in this game that can boost both your damage and power rank, but nothing compares to the gem system that is available in this game. Gems are going to be a type of gear that can be equipped in the gem staff of any class, and the main purpose is going to be to give stats and some ability that can help you out throughout your progression. This is going to be something that you will become very familiar on your journey throughout this game. Hello and welcome to another JMP video. I'm JonNario and today I'll be talking about gems. Like always, don't forget to drop a like since it does help me out more than you think, and also subscribe. We're on the road to 4.6k. Also, put a hashtag gems in the comment section down below and I'm going to be hearting every single comment that has it. There's going to be way too many things in regards to the gem system, so for the sake of not taking an entire generation to explain everything and edit this video, I'll be keeping a lot of things brief because there's going to be a lot of things that are self-explanatory. But of course, I will be trying to talk about most of the important stuff in regards to the gem system. This video is meant to be a general tutorial for all players, so for the new players and even the endgame players. So stick around to see if anything in this video is going to help you out. Also, before I continue with this video, there's going to be a very important questline that you will need to do, and it is very important for starter players. This questline is also going to be explaining a lot of things that I will be mentioning in this video. This is the Gem Expertise questline or the Gem Sleep questline, and this will unlock once you actually complete the regular starter questline from Questline. So do this questline because you will be seeing a lot of progression for a starter player. Like I mentioned, gems are going to be a type of equipment that you can equip on any single class as long as you do meet the level requirement. You can equip up to a maximum of 12 gems and they will be locked until you do reach to level 10. Once you do reach to level 10, you're going to unlock your very first gem slot, and you're going to periodically just keep unlocking gem slot until you do reach to level 30, which is going to be the last gem slot. Out of the 12 gems that you can equip, 8 of them will be reserved for lesser gems or small gems, and 4 of them will be reserved for empower gems / big gems. They will also be divided into 4 colors or elements, which are going to be water, air, fire, or cosmic. Water, air, and fires don't have anything indifferent between any of them outside of the color, and they don't give anything special from one another. The cosmic gem is going to be the only one that is going to be slightly different, since it's the only gem that can spawn with the light stat value. Alright, so in this video I'm going to be explaining everything in these separate categories. First, I will be going into lesser gems, then empower gems, then important resources to keep in mind, and lastly is going to be the gem forge. I will be going in all those big separate categories so for you to actually just know what to actually look for. With all that out of the way, let's get started with the explanation, starting with lesser gems. Lesser / small gems can be gotten by opening gem boxes from defeating world bosses / elite mobs, or opening dungeon chests. You're going to start getting boxes in the Uber 1 difficulty, which is going to be the beginner gem boxes, and it goes all the way until you do reach to Uber 11, which is the current highest difficulty. Obviously, the higher the Uber, the higher the rarity of gems that you can actually obtain. There's going to be 5 types of gem boxes that you can obtain, which are going to be water, air, fire, cosmic, and prime gem boxes. Water is going to be gotten from Drowned World, air boxes are going to be from Cursed Skyline, fire is going to be from Igneous Lands, cosmic is going to be from Geotopside, and prime gem boxes can be obtained from the Prime Adventure Worlds. Obviously, all of the boxes drop their respective gem color, with of course the only exception being the prime gem boxes, which is going to drop a random water, air, or fire gem. It's not going to drop any cosmic gems. There's also going to be 2 things that can help you out in getting more gem boxes. Number 1 is going to be Wednesday, also known as Gem Day. On Gem Day, you can have a chance of getting more gem boxes once you do defeat a world boss or you do open a dungeon chest. So take advantage of those bonuses because it's going to be part of Wednesdays only. Obviously, of course, having patron status increases the chances of getting more gem boxes. Number 2 is going to be being part of a club that has the club fixture called Effigy of Potent Opulence that works similar to the Gem Day bonus, but instead of giving a bonus gem box of the world that you're at, it's going to always grant a prime gem box of the Uber that you're at. So for example, if you do defeat a dungeon chest in the Uber 10 Drowned World, you're going to get not only your gem box, but you actually have a chance of actually getting an Uber 10 prime gem box because it's an Uber 10 world. So don't forget to join high level clubs if you want to get those benefits. And one last thing before I finish with the lesser gem is that once you start getting shadow rarity gems or higher, you're going to see that the gems actually will start dropping as either fears or arcane gems. What this means is going to be that the gems will always drop of the damage type depending on the name of the gem. If it is going to be a fierce gem, then it's going to always drop as a physical damage gem, and if it is arcane, and is going to be always as magic damage. And neither of them can just re-roll into the other respective stats, so it's always going to be physical for fierce, arcane for magic damage. And that's going to be everything that you need to know in regards to the lesser gems. Empowered gems. Like I mentioned, 4 out of the 12 gem slots are going to be reserved for empowered gems, 1 of each color. These empowered gems have their own unique abilities. There's going to be a total of 12 different abilities that you can obtain from empowered gems. Each ability has a unique name to it, so depending on the name of the ability, that's the ability that you're going to get. Stuff like Explosive Epilogue, Volts of Velocity, Cubic Curtain, Mire Mojo, Pirate Disc, Stumburst, Spirit Surge, and Stinging Curse, which will only appear on water, air, and fire empowered gems. And Berserk Battler, Flower Power, Empyrean Variant, and Vampirian Vanquisher will only appear on Cosmic empowered gems. You cannot have 2 of the same ability equipped on your character. You need to have all empowered gems ability to be different ability. For example, you cannot have 2 Pirate Discs, you cannot have 2 Cubic Curtain, you have to have 1 of each. Empowered gems are going to be mainly gotten from empowered gem boxes, and which can be obtained from various places. The gems like Questline, using Lunar Zone in the Shadowy Station, doing the weekly leaderboard contest, rare drop from gem booster boxes. Some events can drop them as a reward, which also includes the Thursday daily quest whenever there's an event active. In the Adventures Workbench using empowered gem fragments, which you get them from loot collecting empowered gems, Corruption and Luxion, and buying them from the club merchant for an adventuring, but those will only drop radiant gems. Unfortunately, empowered gem boxes are pretty much time-gated, so getting the ideal empowered gem is just a matter of time. However, there's going to be only 3 rarity empowered gems: Radiant, Stellar, and Crystal gems. Crystal gems will not drop from regular empowered gem boxes. The only way to obtain crystal empowered gems are going to be crafting crystal empowered gem boxes in the Adventures crafting bench, or converting a level 25 stellar gem into a level 25 crystal gem using one of the resources that I will be talking about once I start going over every single resource. There's also going to be a variant of empowered gem called class gems. Class gem, as the name suggests, is going to be a gem that modifies an ability from one particular class. Of course, it's going to be depending on which class that you're using. Stuff like Shadow Blitz from the Shadow Hunter, Spirit Squire from the Knight, Overcharge from the Gunslinger, etc. This can be obtained by completing a Shadow Coliseum dungeon in the shores of the Everdark, then using a class gem key on the Everdark vault that actually spawns once you do complete the objective, and the vault will drop a class gem matching the class that you're using whenever you open that vault. So if you're using the Shadow Hunter, whenever you open the vault, you're going to get the Shadow Hunter class gem. You don't have to complete the Shadow Coliseum with that particular class. You just need to open the vault with the class that you do want the class gem ability. Once again, class gem keys are going to be a resource that you can obtain from opening empowered gem boxes, doing weekly leaderboards, and you also get a class gem key every single time that you do reach to level 25 on a class. Class gems are going to be always stellar or crystal rarity gems. Crystal will only drop in Uber 9, and it is not going to be a guaranteed draw. According to the testing, I managed to squeeze down around to 40 to 50% chance of dropping a crystal gem whenever you do open a vault inside Uber 9. And of course, you can only equip the class gem on the class that is supposed to be equipped, so you cannot use the class gem into another class. Also, one last thing is going to be that the class gem cannot receive the damage tab that they do not use. For example, if you're using a physical damage class, the class gem will never drop in magic damage. It's always going to be physical damage, and obviously if the class is magic damage, then it's never going to receive physical damage. And that should just generally cover all of the details that you need to know in regards to the empowered gems. Now that we're done with everything related to the lesser and empowered gem, let's start talking about the important resources, starting with Gem Dust. Gem Dust is going to be a resource that is going to be mainly used to level up your gems. Of course, there's going to be a Gem Dust for each gem color. You can get dust mainly from loot collecting stellar gems or below. The higher the rarity, the more gem dust that you're going to get. You can also obtain more gem dust the higher the level of that particular gem, which I'll leave that in the description down below if you want more explanation. You can also obtain gem dust from opening gem boxes, which includes gem booster boxes, converting gem sparks into 30,000 dust for each of their respective color. And lastly, it is also used to craft yourself the Builder's Precise Focus, which is going to be an augmentation item, which I'll get more into that once I start talking about the Gem Forge. Gem Sparks. Sparks is almost the same as a gem does, mainly used to level up your gems, but this time around it's going to be only for crystal gem past level 25. You can obtain sparks from loot collecting crystal rarity gems only, or by opening an Uber 10 or higher water, air, and fire gem box, or Uber 11 cosmic gem bosses as an uncommon drop only. You can also use them for Primal Gem Shards, and similar to the gem dust, you can convert each spark for 30,000 gem dust of that respective color. Primal Gem Shards. This is also mainly used to level up crystal gems, but this time around it's only after level 28. It is also used for a lot of crafting recipes, including the crystal gem conversion, all of them crafted in the Adventures crafting bench. And the only way to obtain them is crafting them with 4 gem sparkle each color, and there's no other way to obtain them. Crystal gem conversion. This resource is only used to converting a level 25 stellar gem into a level 25 crystal gems with the same stats, abilities, and everything. The only way to obtain this resource is going to be crafting them, which I highly advise you going against it because it's very expensive, or buying them from the store for either 15,000 cubits or 1,500 credits. Gem boosters. There's going to be 4 gem boosting items, which are going to be the Jade Clover, Glittering Horseshoes, Lapis Luckbug, and Night Life. The main purpose of this item is going to be to increase the chances of leveling up your gem, with the exception of the Jade Clover, which is only used to craft more Glittering Horseshoes. All of them can be gotten from weekly leaderboard contests, gem booster boxes, and buying them directly from the store. Since I know I'm going to get asked on what level should you use which booster, personally myself for Crystal Gem, which is the only one that I use boosters for at the moment, I will use Glittering Horseshoes for gems after level 15 all the way to level 25 or sometimes level 26, Lapis Lazuli from 26 to 28, and Night Life from level 28 to level 30. And sometimes I will just only use Horseshoe from level 25 to 26 and use no booster from level 1 to level 25 for any of my crystal gems. Keep in mind that this is something that I normally do. You don't have to do this yourself, you just use the booster if you do want. I'm just saying this is what I personally like to do to increase my gems. And of course, for stellar gems it's going to be a little different since the stellar gems still have the old leveling curve that it had before the Sunrise update. So getting to level 25 is going to be a little bit more difficult. One last very important thing before I go into the Gem Forge is going to be, since we're already talking about leveling up gems, this is going to be something that I just see as a question asked very often, not only in game but also myself, and that is going to be a good power rank for a level 1 gem. And I'm here just going to tell you that do not ever worry about a level 1 gem. Ever. The reason being is because gems can get large upgrade, also known as rolls, which are going to be one large upgrade that will boost one of your 3 stats by a large amount. You get them once you do reach a gem from level 5, 10, or 15, and the stat that gets increased and selected is going to be completely random. So a high power rank level 1 gem can turn out to be a low power rank at level 15 because it all depends on the stats that you're going to get at level 5, 10, and 15. So focus on a gem at level 15 rather than focusing on a gem at level 1. It is that much more important. And as far as Crystal Gem is concerned, which is the only one that I should personally be worrying about if you are looking for a power rank on a gem, I will probably say around 1554 power rank at level 15 for lesser gem. And for Empower Gems, I will only say as long as it has all 3 pearls available at level 15, then don't worry about it if it is high or low power rank because Empower Gems are time gated. Make sure to do that, and building your character is going to be that much more easier. So that's going to be all of the things in regards to leveling up your gems to level 15. Now let's start talking about the Gem Forge. The Gem Forge is going to be a table that is mainly used to augment or reroll gem stat. You can also check your gem rolls or large upgrade, which is going to be indicated above the stat as a little pearl. With the Gem Forge, you can use 5 different types of item: Builder's Raw Focus, Builder's Precise Focus, Builder's Superior Focus, Contain Chaos Spark, and Contain Chaos Flare. All of these are going to be mainly crafted in the Adventures crafting bench or also gotten from Luster's gem boxes. Luster's gem boxes is going to be gotten from opening dungeon chests during gem days only, but there's going to be a limit of either 3 or 6 if you're a patron player. There's also going to be daily quests that you can complete whenever there's an event only on Wednesdays, and in some cases events themselves can drop Luster's gem boxes or Luxem can have it in this inventory. So let's start going with all of the 3 augmenting items, which are going to be Builder's Rough Focus, Builder's Precise Focus, and Builder's Superior Focus. These are going to be self-explanatory. Gems have a percentage in each of their stats. These percentages will vary depending on the gem's initial power rank and all of the large upgrade that it receives at level 5, 10, and 15. Once it reaches level 15, it will not change unless you do reroll the pearl on one of those stats. And the only way to increase those percentages is by selecting one of the gem stats and using one of the 3 focus items that I just mentioned. The Rough Focus is the one that is going to grant the least amount, and the Superior Focus is going to be the one that is going to grant the most amount of power rank. Precise is obviously, of course, the one in the middle. And yeah, that's how you augment your gems. Pretty straightforward. Just select the item that you just want to increase the percentages, use one of the 3 focus items, and just increase the percentages all the way until you reach the maximum, which of course is 100%. And the same can be said with the 2 other items that you use in the Gem Forge, which are going to be the re-rolling item, Contain Chaos Spark and Contain Chaos Flame. Let's start with the Chaos Spark. The Chaos Spark, what it does is it will allow you to select one of the stats of a gem similar to any of the gem focus items. However, this time around it will allow you to change the selected stat into another stat that is not present in that particular gem. For example, if a gem has magic damage, and crit hit, and you select any of those 3 stats, then the gem is going to reroll into either maximum health or maximum health percentages, because neither of these stats were present before you reroll that particular gem. So the gems can have all of the following stats: damage, which is both physical or magic, and obviously of course it depends if the gem has fierce or arcane, which is always the damage type, or if it is the class gem, which is always going to have the correct stat for that particular class. Anyways, the other stat that you can just obtain is going to be max health percentage, max health base, critical hit, and critical damage that can be rerolled. And for cosmic gem, you can have light, which cannot be rerolled. So when you're just rerolling, always remember that the stat that you select is going to reroll into a stat that is not present on that gem. That's essentially how rerolling stat works with the Contain Chaos Spark. Now let's move on onto the Contain Chaos Flare, which is a little bit easier to explain. Like I just mentioned multiple times, gems can get large upgrades, which are going from level 5, 10, and 15, which is indicated as little pearls above the stat in the Gem Forge. And what the flare does is that when you do select any stat that has pearls, that is going to randomly relocate one of those pearls into either of the 2 other stats. So if you select a stat that has 2 pearls, then it's going to pick one of those 2 pearls and move it randomly to one of the other 2 stats. And yeah, that's essentially everything in regards to how the Contain Chaos Flare works. Now, before I go, I'm going to mention this since we're already here in the topic of pearls and rerolling gems, and that is going to be in regards to my recommendation with gem pearls. My recommendation on gem builds is going to be to have pearls on both your main damage and your critical damage, and for your cosmic gems, always have pearls on light. Make sure to not go too overboard in either damage or critical damage, and at that point you will be good to go. Now, why am I being vague about it and I'm not going to be just going over the highest potential coefficient gem build? And here's the reason why. Those gem builds are meant to be used for maxed out player with damage builds. So if you are not maxed out, then the highest coefficient build might not be the best for you in particular, because you may not have the same base damage as a maxed out player, you may not have the same items as a maxed out player. Those gem builds are only meant to be used for people that want to have the max coefficient build with a maxed out character with max damage. So rather than using resources on a build that might not be even the best for you, it's best to go into a general safe build. It's a good balance between damage and critical damage and full light rolls, and you're pretty much set. Trust me on this one. My knight, my main character, is built like that, and I can literally just do any type of content really easily. Don't risk any resources without not knowing that it's even giving you any benefit. And if it gives you benefits, the difference is going to be very, very small, that you are not going to notice any difference. I need to mention all of this because this is something of a very common topic that you do see in a lot of players' game. Never worry about max coefficient build unless you are a maxed out player. And that should cover most of everything in this video. Script writing alone in this video took me nearly 5 hours, and not to mention the recording and the editing process. This is going to take an eternity to make this video. And so at the very least, I can just say that this is going to be a full general gem guide and explanation on the system to the best of my ability. Share this video because this is just going to help out with the general player base, and also make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Those help me out more than you think. Also hashtag gems in the comment section down below. Again, if you yourself have some extra topics that you would like to talk about inside the gem system, leave them in the comment section down below. All of this is going to be valuable information that is going to help out the general player base. Thank you for watching, thank you for sticking as always, and I hope to see you next time. Take care and keep on hunting. See ya.